I started this project last year with this £5 thrift shop camera find. The idea being to sell it and then buy another with profits until I traded it up to something I really lust after, all from just my £5 initial outlay. My last check-in was the 6th in the series, this very clever 1960s panoramic camera from the Soviet Union. It cost £94.80p and sold, pretty quickly, for £177.54 after fees, bringing the new total to £384.91p. On to the next trade. I initially said I'd focus on cameras that didn't appeal to me, that way there'd be no chance of ending the experiment early. Well, the next camera is something that very much appeals to me. Luckily, I already own a few of them. This is a Leica IIIa from 1937. Before the invention of the Leica, cameras were of the plate camera variety, large, heavy and annoying to lug around. Oscar Barnack wanted to create a small and stealthy camera with interchangeable lenses that could be carried anywhere with ease. By designing the system around the 35mm film format, he managed to cut the size and weight right down while still maintaining decent enough image quality. He called his camera the Leica, a portmanteau of the words lights and camera. The system was hugely successful, heralding a golden age of photography, with 35mm becoming the format of choice world over. By the 1930s, lights were producing 3 tiers of Leica camera. On the face of it, they all looked much about the same, but under the hood there were some subtle differences. The Leica one was the entry-level Leica, which lacked a rangefinder and a dial for shutter speeds below the 20th of a second. On the plus side, the Leica one is the smallest of the Leicas due to the lack of rangefinder. The Leica II was the next step up the ladder, and included a coupled rangefinder, but still lacked the slow speeds. Finally, the Leica III was aimed at the professional photographer, and had the rangefinder and slow speed dial. Between the 1930s and the 1950s, until the introduction of the Leica M system, lights tweaked the designs of their Barnack Leica ever so slightly. For example, this IIIa benefits from a slightly quicker shutter speed of 1/1000th instead of the Leica III's 1/500th. But there were numerous other tweaks over the years, including larger viewfinder windows, flash sync ports, etc. However, essentially the design remained the same. I've spoken of the virtues of Barnack's Leica in a number of my previous reviews. I love how functional these cameras are. They are super small, stunningly well made, and, presumably because so many were made, are still incredibly cheap. I paid just £103.04 for this one from a well-known auction house. Okay, that's without a lens, so expect to add another £200 for a Sumatar or equivalent. So for roughly £300 you have one of the most historically important cameras of all time, used by the likes of Henri Cartier-Bresson and other hideously famous photographers. That's just bonkers cheap. There are a couple of quirks about using a Barnack Leica. The biggest one is the separate viewfinder and rangefinder window. You need to focus in one window and then compose in the other. This can be a bit weird to begin with, but soon becomes second nature after a few rolls. The film leader also needs to be trimmed, or it will not load, so you'll need to get an original Lights Abcu trimmer or a modern equivalent. Once trimmed, loading the film can be a little fiddly, as the only access to the film compartment is through the camera baseplate. This becomes easier the more you do it. Luckily for anyone looking to shoot with one of these old legends, you're in luck, as there are always plenty of decent working ones on eBay, a testament to the high build quality of these soon-to-be antique cameras. At £103.04p, I think this one was a little cheaper than most. Everything's working well, but the shutter does stick slightly at a ½ second and 1 second speeds. It has also had a flash sync port retrofitted at some stage, a very useful addition, but why they had to put it in the top plate, right in the middle of the Leica logo, I'm really not sure. Still, apart from these small aesthetical blemishes, this Leica IIIa is in great usable condition. I'll get it on eBay and let you know how I get on.